This comes from She-Hulk. Here's what it says. Everyone just make yourself comfortable. Here we go. Story time. I moved in with my mother in 2011 after graduating from graduate school during the mortgage economic downturn. I eventually found a job after about 8 months of not paying her anything to stay with her. Since then, I've been paying her $700 a month for rent. She needs a lot of assistance, which I provide. I'm in my early 40s and the youngest child. My mother is over 75 years old and does not drive, so I have to take her to the grocery store, provide transportation for her, help with her taxes, and even cover certain unexpected household expenses that she might not be able to afford. My siblings enjoy dropping off my nieces and nephews for long visits, aka free childcare, on school breaks, which angers me because my mother has a difficult time handling the children and I often have to step in. I'm single and would like to start dating. But it's hard because I can't bring a person home and show them my situation without them wanting to run.
Mm.
Many years ago, I started earning about 90K a month. No, not a month, a year.
Oh,
Dang, girl,
okay.
you go. Okay, sorry. Let me redo that. Bloop, bloop, rewind. Many years, many years have gone by, and I now earn about $90,000 a year. I have been using any extra income to fund my 401k, help my nieces with their college expenses, pay off my own debt, and now I am saving for my own house. Do you guys think I should be paying my mom more for rent? This has not been an issue between us as she has not asked me to pay more, but I feel trapped and guilty. I just noticed that people in my area are renting rooms for $1,500 to $2,000 a month. Gosh, California. And I feel guilty about just paying $700 a month. But I also feel like some of these costs are offset by all that I need to do for her. She lives on a fixed income. On my advice a couple of years ago, she paid off the mortgage and only
Mm.
has utilities and property tax expenses. I am grateful that I can be able to help her, but I want a life of my own. What should I do?
Ooh, this was a very complex situation. And do you want me to go first? You want to go first? I'm going to give you the
No,
opportunity
you
if you want to
go.
go
You
first.
go. You jump in.
So I would say, just right off the bat, the first time I read this, my immediate thought was, no, I don't think that you're wrong. Oh my. Okay, sorry, I got this. Please look. Cowboys paraphernalia has no place here. You guys lost. You're no longer part of the NFL anymore. You're out. My Philadelphia Eagles are in the Super Bowl, so we can go ahead and slide that off the screen. But when I read
Steve,
this,
cut that out. Steve, cut that out.
leave that in. Actually, play it twice.
There's
So
there's there's no context. Anyone who's listening to this on a podcast has no idea what just happened. So Steve,
Allison
cut
was
that out.
drinking out of a cowboy sippy cup and triggered me.
Not a sippy cup, but okay.
But anyway,
Okay.
okay, back to the topic. So when I read this, immediately, the first thing I thought was, I don't think this person's doing anything wrong. Like, that was my immediate reaction. I think that it shows how good of a person they are, the fact that they're even questioning
Aw.
whether or not they're doing the right thing. Because
Mhm.
I think we've gotten several stories where people have complained about others who clearly are not thinking about the other people involved in the situation. Like last
Mhm.
week, we were talking, our last episode, there was the person who wrote in and their partner never paid them anything for the house they bought together.
Mhm.
And they seem to be
Exactly.
perfectly okay with that. But this person, they're concerned. So I think that alone just shows that your heart's in the right place. And I don't see this as something negative that they're doing.
Yes, I completely agree with you. I agree that this person, she's in a tough spot because here's the deal. She lives in a really expensive area. Didn't she say it was the Bay Area?
Yeah,
So
ridiculously
super,
expensive.
super crazy expensive, but I mean, she is a helping hand. If you think about it, her
Yeah, yeah.
mother probably wouldn't be able to. I mean, she said she can't even drive, so she can't get her groceries, she can't get her medication, she takes her mom to church, even like, we had to cut out some of the story, but essentially she is a very big help. And her mother is not, it doesn't seem like she's hurting for rent money. So it's
No,
not like her
no.
mother is renting a home and then she's staying in it and rent prices are out of control. The mortgage has been paid off. The unfortunate thing is that she wants to move out because she wants a life. She
Mm,
wants to no longer be single. She wants to be able to date. But there's this there's this conflicting thing of responsibility, right? And I feel
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this terrifies me because we are entering this age. I mean, not me and you, Chris, but kind of, where like our parents become our children. And how do you, and so there's this responsibility on her now to help out as she's the youngest kid. She doesn't have children,
Mm.
she's single. And I think this is more of a less of a money issue and more of a, I want to do right by my mom, but I also want to be my own person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that can cause, and I feel like the money thing is just like almost like masking it. Like it's an easy out to say, oh, should I leave because of the money? Because I'm not paying her enough money. Or to make
Mm.
money the issue when I don't think that's the real issue here.
No, because the value of the work that she's doing probably is greater than whatever she's not paying in rent. I mean, because the
Oh,
cost of bringing like an
100%.
in-home care person to do all that stuff is expensive.
Yeah.
It's not cheap at
Yeah.
all.
Yes. And she sent in a lot more. So she cooks, she pays for half the groceries. So if you think about that, you're looking for someone that's going to come in as an assistant, drive her mom all around, do all her grocery shopping, pay for half of the groceries, pick up the house, clean the house, probably take care of things. She says she does her taxes for her. She deals with her mail for her so she doesn't get behind on bills. She is essentially her mother's partner in crime. And to replace that, I mean, but if you think about it, to hire someone to do all of those tasks is going to cost you $2,000 a month minimum.
Easy.
Yeah. So I think it's just more of a, she's in this really tough, like, family situation where she doesn't want to take advantage of her mom because she has a good heart, but she also wants to live her own life. So I want to know, Chris, what would you do in this situation?
Are we going to focus on, do you want to focus on the money situation or the wanting to be independent situation?
I think you and I both agree that the money situation is not an issue.
No, I don't think she's doing anything wrong.
I
don't
think,
think she should feel bad at all. She
I don't think
be
she
staying
should
there
be
for free.
bad.
I mean, really, realistically.
Yeah, I think it'd be okay if you are staying there for free. But if you're paying your mom $700 a month and she's using that to help cover some bills, like that's nice. Obviously, she can afford it. She's making decent money, but she is also trying to save for other things.
Yeah.
So I don't think that there's anything wrong. I don't think you need to be paying your mom $1,500 to $2,000 a month to rent a room when her mortgage is paid off and she's your mom. But what would you do? This is going to be interesting because I feel like, you're a man, I'm a woman. Hold on.
Those are two things.
In case anyone was confused. I know that, my voice is very deep and Chris's is very high. So
I'm really
you might be
insecure about
confused.
that. I really wish you wouldn't have brought that up.
But my thing is like, I think about it. If this was my mom and this was a situation, like I can imagine what I would do, but I think that also depends on the type of relationship you have with your mom. So I want to know what you would do.
This is hard. Like
you'd put it on your brother.
Well, no, I wouldn't put Well, it looks like you got some cleaning to do, boy. Get over there. No, I would. It would be hard because that's a lot. That is you're making a very large sacrifice by foregoing, like the youthful part of your life, right? But yeah, it can be really hard. I think I've known people. I won't say these people's names, but I've known people.
Only our patrons.
Only our patrons. Well, this is a little more negative, where they basically gave up their entire life for years to care for a family member, and it was hard.
What do you do? What do you do? I mean, when you're put in that situation and they need your help, they cared for you, they were there raising you, and it's like that is so hard.
It really is, and it's like, especially when you don't maybe have the physical accommodations for everyone to be on one property but be separate from each other, you kind of don't have a lot of options. And so I think you either up in one of two boats, where you're like She-Hulk here and you're just basically living with them and caring for them as best as you can, or you have to have a conversation with them if they're unable to care for themselves and begin the process of trying to figure out a way to find some type of housing situation for them that works. Which can be hard because, I mean, it could result in having to sell a home to have enough money to cover that cost. It could be that they don't want to leave their home. Like it's not something easy to approach.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where either you just live with the internal grief of the
Mm-hmm.
struggle and being unhappy that you can't live your life the way you want to, or you have to get that awkward conversation going and maybe potentially have your parent be the one who's dealing with the
Mm-hmm.
awkward grief of, oh, I can't live the life that I want to live. Like it's so
Yeah.
there's not really a perfect, win-win situation where everyone's going to be
Yeah.
perfectly happy. Someone's got to be uncomfortable and probably not completely happy with the outcome
Mm-hmm.
of the situation.
Yes, I agree. And I think that we should also note that Chris and I have like never had to deal with this type of
No,
situation,
no.
yet, or hopefully not. So what we're saying is coming from just like what we're making assumptions. So I know that this can be a very difficult situation, like family dynamic. Um, so, obviously every family is different, but
Yeah.
I also think about it this way. My grandma Flores is 90 years old. 90.
You have some
And
really old people in your family, and again, rubbing in your living grandparents in my face again.
okay.
Oh,
Well,
look at
that
this!
was unintentional, but
Look at
I'll
me with
do
all
it.
my living grandparents. Oh, I'm so great.
Anyway, 3 out of 4, baby. Okay. 3 out of 4. Grandpa Flores couldn't hold on, but that's okay. That's fine. So, anyway, my aunt is just now moving in with her.
Mm,
And so I think, oh my gosh, if my aunt had had to live with her starting at the age of 75,
yeah, yeah.
and it's like, just because you live with them doesn't mean it's a temporary thing either, because you don't know how long these people are going to live. You could be like Grandma Flores, and if you move in with your mom or you start living with your parents at the age of 75, that doesn't mean that that's a temporary like issue or a temporary living situation. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think it's more about like figuring out, okay, number one, what is realistic? Number two, realistic financially, realistic for your mental health, their mental health, happiness, all of that. And then hopefully enlisting some other siblings to support and help.
Yeah, because especially if there's other, and you see this all the time where there's multiple siblings involved
Mm-hmm.
and none of them want to have anything to do with it. Like only one
Mm-hmm.
was going to be the responsible one.
Yes.
And even in this, like they're dropping off their kids for
Mm-hmm.
babysitting with the mother who can't really do it. So she kind of
Mm-hmm.
becomes a default babysitter. So it's hard. Like I think
Exactly.
on top of you dealing with your own kind of grief of what you're losing by doing this, you're also having, I'm sure, resentment towards the other people who could be doing
Mm-hmm.
more and aren't. They're just kind of just like, they got it. Everything's
Yeah.
fine.
So, okay, so what do you think she should do? Because here she is in her 40s, wants to date, but she has her
Mm.
mom who's all up in her personal space. Like there's privacy issues, which is what she said also in her thing that she wrote. Would you stay, or Christopher Browning? Well, don't worry, we won't
Yeah.
let Mama Browning hear this.
Trust me, they're not listening to the podcast.
Okay. So, what would you do? Would you live with your mom? Would you be like, nah, we got to find you some help and move out? Would you dump it on your brother? What
I
would
would
you do?
I would not dump it on my brother. So one, I would have the conversation with her and see where she's at, how she feels,
Mhm.
if she's recognizing where she is right now. Which I'm not saying I'm great at these conversations. I'm not like, oh yeah, I would be. Trust me, I would handle this and it would be great. I'm like,
Let me
no.
tell you how this conversation would go for Chris. Chris would be like, "Hey, mom, how you doing?" Be like, "I'm doing good." Okay, great. So you're good here. You're good with everything, with the way everything is. You're good. And she'd be like, "Yeah," and you'd be like, "Okay, great. Did my part."
See you in 6 months. No, no, I'm not great at difficult, awkward conversations. Like it's so much easier to do it from an outside perspective. Like it's
Of
so much easier
course.
to look at someone else's situation, think about it, and like,
Hmm.
you know what? I think this is a really logical way to get through this. But when you're in it,
Hmm.
it's so much harder to deal with it.
Yeah, of course.
I think we've mentioned this book before, but I think a really great resource. I don't know what I'm sharing right now, but oh yeah, it's the right one.
Oh, yes.
Cameron Huddleston has this book called "Mom and Dad, We Need to Talk," and I had her on my podcast. I don't know, a couple years ago. But if you're looking for some scripts, some ideas, some of her stories, because basically her story is her mom ended up with Alzheimer's, and
Hmm.
she barely was able to get her to agree to let her handle her finances for her before she was basically deemed not capable of like, giving away those rights. And so she wrote this book to kind of like help people through a similar situation who are trying to have these conversations, because it's hard. Like your parents aren't like, oh yeah, here's all my information. Yeah, I'm not feeling great, being all vulnerable. A lot of parents are like, no, you know, I'm fine. I want to stay in my house. So I think as a tool to get you started, this book, I could highly recommend you kind of read through that to get started, to kind of just help me maybe brainstorm how you want to approach this situation with your mom. Because for me, if I was in a situation, as much as I do not want to have this conversation, I know I'd have no choice but to. And especially if I'm like, oh, I don't know if I want to live full time with my parents, if I have the time, if I'm capable of doing it, if I have the patience to do it. So I would, you know, me and my brother have a conversation first. We figure out what we're capable of, what we're comfortable doing. Then we would go talk to our parents together and then kind of go from there. But that's what I'm thinking. Since you put me on a spot, what about you? You got something over there? You already got an answer? So you make me look horrible with my answer?
I'm not making you look horrible. I mean, if it was my mom, I would, Matt would hate me for this, but I'd probably be like, yeah, come on over. Come on and move in. He would hate me for that. But I would do it. But here's the deal is, I mean, I have a really good relationship with my mom, but she and I can set really good boundaries. So she's the type of person where she's not emotional. So she's very similar to Matt. She's just, most things are black and white. She doesn't get her feelings hurt easily. I mean, she gets her feelings hurt, I'm sure. She's human, but not easily. And so she's not like an emotional person. So if I were to say like, hey, I need some personal space, you know, on these nights, can I just like I'm not going to come out and hang out with you and spend time with you on these nights just because I need some personal space. She would not take that as like, you don't want to hang out with me. So there could be good boundaries. And that's just her personality. She's a very, you know, easygoing personality. Now, if it's me and my child and I'm in my old age, if they said that to me, I might be like, what's wrong with you? But I would get my feelings hurt maybe. So I think it also depends on the personality of the person and their understanding. But also my mom's very independent. So she would be okay. Like
that makes a big difference.
That makes a very big difference. The independence and the level of need. But honestly, like really thinking about it, her staying with us is probably not a good idea because we only have one bedroom. Like I actually thought through this. We only have one bedroom on the bottom floor. So it would be too hard for like an old person to go up the stairs. But I've already thought about converting my office into a bedroom for her. And then we can add a little full bath right here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tough situation. And then also the relationship that you have with your parents. Some people have great relationships like you and your mom. Some people have horrible relationships, but then they're still stuck in the position where it's like, oh, well, there's literally no one else who can help but me. And then you have the guilt of, well, if I don't help, then what's going to happen to them? Like it's a lot.
It's hard. And I think also it's important to remember that just because your current situation, like just because you choose something doesn't mean you can't change it down the line. For instance, there's this person, Chalene Johnson. I don't know if you're familiar with her, but her and her husband are like these famous, anyway, she's like really famous, but anyway, or somewhat famous. Maybe like C-level actor. No, she's not even an actress. Sorry, just famous.
Wow, you're just building her up and then tearing her down, man.
Anyway, so her and her husband have been married for many years. Well, his dad developed Alzheimer's. And to the point where like the wife said, I can't take care of him anymore. Like it's too difficult. So what they did was Chalene and her husband Brett took in the dad because they had the financial capabilities, they had the time available, and they had the space in their home, and they took care of them. And they said, this is our plan until we can't do that anymore. And we accept that there might come a time when we say, okay, this is no longer healthy for our marriage, or this is no longer healthy for us. But that comes with financial privilege because they were able to do that, take time off. I mean, they both are entrepreneurs. So they had this free time, more free time than like the normal person.
Yeah, than the average person would.
Millions and millions of dollars. and they could hire help. They hired help. They had a housekeeper come all the time. They have hired help so they could care for him. And she posted all about it on Instagram. His name's Bob. Everyone fell in love with him. And they got to the point where it was no longer healthy on their relationship and on him, her husband, like seeing the dad like this, because just he started taking it down, going downhill. And so they said, okay, we can't do it anymore. So they did end up putting him into basically like an Alzheimer's home. And they still visit him and everything. But they also said, we have to take care of ourselves. But that ability comes from money.
Yeah, we got options. Yeah, if you have money, you have options. You have a lot more paths you can explore than someone who's like, look, we're just getting by.
Exactly. Which is why I feel like it's so important for people to make sure, like, even in their early ages, that have their finances in order, because it might not just be for you, it might be for other family members to be able to support and take care of them and everything like that.
Yeah, I was just having this conversation with a friend, with Logan. We were talking about the term generational wealth that people throw out there, and I told him I'm not a fan of that term. I don't really like it.
Why not? I like it.
I feel like it's a lot. It is a lot, because you're saying like generational wealth is not I'm wealthy, maybe not even just me and my kids. I have so much money that my kids can be wealthy, but it's like my kids and my grandkids. Like that's a lot of money, and a lot of people don't have that type of money will ever have that much money to pass on that significant amount of money down.
Okay, but I also see it as you are providing generational wealth. Also, even if it's not financially, this is an interesting conversation, because think about the person like, okay, I talked to Julian and Kirsten Saunders, right, from Rich and Regular. And when I interviewed them, they were essentially talking about how they, and I want to make sure I'm correct in this. I'm second guessing myself, but they were the first people in their family to step out and do something different with their money, with their jobs, with their careers. And by stepping out and making that change, it started the process for generational wealth, because it opened doors to them that their family members did not have. And they received a lot of backlash from their family members for that, for doing something different. But even just like education, I think, can lead to generational wealth, because the more the more educated we are, the more doors can open up to us. And when you have that, there's like this trickling effect down. There is a trickling effect down.
Yeah,
so I look at it also not just in terms of like money that you actually have in the bank in retirement, enough to last for generations, but the choices that you're making that don't benefit just you, they benefit your children. So for instance, the single mom who lives in a difficult area where there's not a lot of good school systems.
I can give you. Hold on. Wait, no, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna say I'm gonna give you a real life example.
I have a story. I have a story for the single mom.
No, is it a real person or is it a fake story?
It's a fake story, but I
have a real story. I have a real story. So I was gonna say, my mom grew up extremely poor in Watts.
Okay.
She was there during the riots, and she was the only person from her family who went to college, and she ended up great career, and I'm sure she had her ups and downs, but ended up great career, provided a very stable house for me and my brother. So for us, we didn't have to overcome what she overcame just to hit the baseline of normal.
Boom.
We didn't have to try to climb up to normal. Beautiful. So I can see it in that sense. But I guess I don't ever see generational wealth when I hear people talk about it in that term.
Okay, way. Can I interview you for my podcast and we can talk about this?
Sure, why not?
Because I think we should, because you have an amazing story there. Because what that has done is that has completely transformed your life. It's
much
set
different.
up a different level of expectation. So even if she doesn't leave a penny to you, not one dime, you are a successful person. You make a good money. Your brother's a freaking doctor. So don't tell me that your mom. There. I know, right? He's not a real doctor.
No, I wasn't saying that.
Oh, okay. Oh, wow. I thought we were tearing him down.
I'm gonna tell my brother what you think about him. Wow, okay.
Anyway, but like that is generational wealth. So when I think of generational wealth, I don't see it as like dollar signs and cents.
Mm.
I see it as the experiences that we are providing for our children to have a new level of norm. Because your mom's the level of norm and expectations for life that your mom gave you is completely different than what she received. And so then think about your brother with his daughter. Here he is as a doctor, and he is raising this beautiful daughter. And just look at the generational difference from I'm getting goosebumps. From
You-
what your mother's life looked like to now your niece. It is completely 180-degree difference, and it is beautiful. That is generational wealth.
You know what,
Oh!
Allison? Hold on.
Oh, look at these goosebumps.
You're supposed to give yourself goosebumps. But I gotta say, you're completely changing my mind on this. You're completely changing my mind and perspective on this idea of generational wealth, because I was stuck on, how is everyone going to possibly accumulate enough money to support multiple generations? Because to me, it was a burden to put on yourself that, I have to somehow improve my life to a degree that I can help all these other people. But you know what?
See, but to me, it is beautiful. Like the idea to me is so beautiful, because it's not about it's not about the money at all. It's about the life that you're providing, and the level of expectation and norm that you're providing. And I just think it is so beautiful, because it just trickles down, and your family is the true picture of generational wealth, and you didn't even know it. And it has nothing to do, if your mom never leaves you a penny, if your parents never leave you a dime, your family has generational wealth right there.
I'm going to plagiarize the mess out of you, because that was beautiful, and I'm going to be stealing all that and telling that to everybody.
Screw you. This is my intellectual property. Screw all of you. No, I'm kidding.
Now that was, I think we should just end it there.
Copyright.
Yeah, this is not
Allison Baggerly.
copyright words.
Oh, I should know. I've copyrighted something.
This is very much Michael Scott. I declare bankruptcy.
This is when Michael. You're gonna do the thing where Michael Scott quotes Michael Jordan. Michael Scott. That's what you're gonna
You
be.
miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Isn't about dollars and cents at all. Quote Allison Baggerly. Quote Chris Browning.
Yeah, I can quote a quote. But no, that was that. I think we should cut it there. That was perfect.
Okay.
I think that's a great perspective, and hopefully She-Hulk, with a great name. This conversation was helpful, and if there's any other things that we didn't touch on or we missed on that we should have covered, or insights that we need to know, please feel free to write back in and let us know. But we appreciate you being open enough to be able to send that in to us. We appreciate anyone being vulnerable when they send in their stories.
Yes, thank you, She-Hulk. That was a very strong, brave thing you did.
It was.